We have all been told the same story about a cup of coffee. The story goes that if you stop buying a $5 latte every morning and instead put that money into a low-cost index fund, the magic of compound interest will eventually make you a millionaire. It is a comforting story. It feels safe. It is also mathematically irrelevant if you are trying to build wealth in a condensed timeline. If you skip your coffee and invest $5 a day for 5 years, assuming an average market return, you will have roughly $10,000. That is not financial freedom. That is a reliable used car. Compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, but it requires the one resource you are implicitly rejecting when you set a 5-year timeline. It requires decades. To build significant wealth in 60 months, you have to abandon the traditional financial playbook entirely. You have to stop playing the game of preservation and start playing the game of aggressive, concentrated accumulation. This is not a comfortable transition. The system is fundamentally designed to punish people who try to rush the process. But it is entirely possible, provided you understand the brutal, mechanical truth of how wealth is actually manufactured in a short window. Right now, the timeline matters more than ever. We are living in an era of rapid currency devaluation. The old contract, work for 40 years, save 10%, retire on a golf course, was underwritten by an economy that no longer exists. Inflation is quietly eating the purchasing power of the middle class. Asset prices, specifically housing and equities, have detached from median incomes. The urgency you feel to build wealth quickly is not impatience. It is an intuitive recognition that the slow path is becoming mathematically perilous. You are running on a treadmill that is slowly increasing in speed. So, how do you compress 40 years of financial growth into 5? You do it by manipulating 3 specific levers. Most people spend their entire lives pulling the wrong one. The first lever is your income mechanism. Society trains you to trade time for capital. You are given a salary or an hourly rate. This is a fatal flaw for rapid wealth creation because your time is strictly finite. You cannot work 200 hours in a week. To break the timeline, you must sever the link between your time and your compensation. You do not need a better job. You need a scalable mechanism. In the real world, this usually looks like one of 2 things. It is either high-ticket sales, where your compensation is tied directly to the revenue you close, or it is equity. Equity is the ultimate wealth cheat code. You must own a piece of a system that generates cash flow whether you are sleeping, eating, or staring at a wall. The second lever is the floor, your burn rate. If you want to build wealth in 5 years, your lifestyle cannot scale with your income. This is where the psychology breaks most people. When the income begins to spike, the biological urge to signal that success is overwhelming. You buy the car, you upgrade the apartment, you inflate the floor. The math of a 5-year wealth build requires you to live like a ghost. If your income jumps from $70,000 to $300,000, your living expenses must remain anchored to the 70. You are intentionally creating a massive, unnatural surplus. This surplus is your ammunition. Which brings us to the third lever, the vehicle. This is where we have to look at the uncomfortable math of the 5-year plan. Let us assume you're starting from 0, and your goal is $1 million in liquid net worth by year 5. If you put your money into a standard, diversified portfolio tracking the S&P 500, yielding an optimistic 8% return, how much do you need to invest? You would need to put away roughly $14,000 every single month for 60 months. For 99% of the population, that is impossible, and this reveals the great illusion of mainstream financial advice. Index funds and diversified portfolios are incredibly efficient vehicles for protecting wealth and growing it slowly. They are terrible vehicles for creating it quickly. Diversification is a defense mechanism. It protects you from being wrong. But to build wealth in 5 years, you cannot afford to be defensive. You must concentrate risk. Look at any self-made billionaire. They don't get rich by holding a perfectly balanced portfolio of international bonds, large-cap tech, and emerging market ETFs.
They get rich by putting all their chips on one table. Elon Musk concentrated in Tesla and SpaceX. Jeff Bezos concentrated in Amazon. Concentration builds wealth. Diversification preserves it. In a 5-year timeline, your vehicle cannot be a passive index fund. It has to be an asymmetric bet. It is the boring, unglamorous cash-flowing business you buy using SBA debt, fix up, and sell to private equity. It is the software platform you code in your basement that solves a highly specific problem for supply chain managers. It is a highly leveraged real estate play in an emerging market. You are taking your massive cash surplus, the ammunition you saved by living like a ghost, and you are firing it into a highly concentrated asset that you intimately understand and ideally directly control. This is where we must separate the hype from the reality. If you spend 10 minutes online, you will find an army of digital gurus selling you the illusion of the 5-year timeline. They will tell you it happens through trading crypto coins with dog logos, or drop shipping cheap plastic from overseas, or day trading foreign exchange markets. They are selling you a lottery ticket masquerading as a business model. The reality of rapid wealth creation is aggressively boring. It is heavily unglamorous. The people actually doing this aren't posting pictures from rented yachts in Dubai. They are quietly acquiring commercial HVAC companies in the Midwest. They are building niche logistics software. They are doing the hard, invisible labor that the market actually values. They understand a fundamental law of economics. Money is simply a reward for solving a problem. To get a massive amount of money in a very short time, you must solve a massive, complex problem. Day trading solves nothing. Building a system that makes other businesses more efficient solves everything. But we need to zoom out, because what happens when an entire generation realizes that the 40-year plan is broken? We are seeing the results right now. When people look at the cost of a starter home and realize their salary will never mathematically bridge the gap, they panic. They abandon the slow path. But instead of building scalable skills or acquiring equity and cash-flowing assets, they turn to hyper-speculation. This is why we see massive bubbles in meme stocks, speculative crypto tokens, and digital JPGs. It is the symptom of a deeply stressed economic system. Millions of people are desperately trying to compress 40 years of wealth creation into a few months, using leverage they don't understand on assets that produce nothing. They recognize the right problem, but they are using a deeply flawed vehicle. Building wealth in 5 years is not a matter of catching a lucky wave in the market. It's an engineering problem. You build the income engine, you anchor the floor, you concentrate the surplus into a controlled asset, you scale the asset, you exit. It is entirely mechanical, but it is not free. There is an invoice attached to this strategy, and it is rarely discussed. Time is an absolute constant. If you choose to compress 40 years of financial accumulation into 5, you are not cheating time, you are simply condensing it. You will compress 40 years of stress, 40 years of risk, 40 years of late nights, and 40 years of psychological burden into 1,800 days. It is an intense, isolating, and often deeply unhealthy way to live. Your relationships will suffer. Your baseline anxiety will fundamentally alter. You will spend 5 years viewing every hour of your day through the cold, unforgiving lens of opportunity cost. You can break the timeline. You can build the wealth. The math is sitting right in front of you, entirely indifferent to your feelings about it. The only unresolved question is if you are actually willing to pay the price.